Black Panther is directed by Ryan Coogler and stars Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, aka Black Panther. And this movie is less of an origin story since we've already seen T'Challa as Black Panther, and more of an introductory story for his world of Wakanda and his introduction as the king. And it's much more about his people and the whole of the community rather than the origin story of Black Panther. If anything, it's just a huge exposition backstory on everything we would possibly need to know about Wakanda and his people and where he comes from, because there's a lot of secrecy in that world. We don't really know anything about it. Black Panther isn't a very well-known character, so most people going into this really don't know anything about him or his world. So this movie was just a great way to get into that world and to see the inner workings of it and the secrets that it holds, and also some explanation as to why we've never really seen them before and why the world doesn't really know about them, and the world just looks at them as this third world country with nothing. So after the death of T'Challa's father, the former king of Wakanda, T'Challa now has to take the throne. He has to compete in order to maintain the throne and eventually take his rightful place as king. Wakanda is this reclusive, technologically advanced country that no one else in the world really knows about. And it was really cool to see a window into that world and see how they work and see all of these new characters who I loved. I loved every character in this movie. They were all so wonderful and so incredibly powerful and badass. Oh my god, I'm gonna get into that later. Wow. But the story really kicks off when an enemy comes to Wakanda, an outsider, played by Michael B. Jordan, who is most famously known for playing Adonis Creed in the movie Creed, which was also directed by Ryan Coogler. I honestly loved this movie a lot. This movie is so meaningful to me. And the best way to put it is Black Panther is not just another comic book movie. It is a sincere love letter to the oppressed. And I'm not talking about just people of color. I mean minorities, the lower class, women, third world countries, anyone who has ever been considered less than anyone else. That's what this movie is about, and that's who this movie is for, and it is so important. I think the way that that message is represented and portrayed in this film is so pure, and it's not force, it's just this tone throughout the whole movie, and it's beautiful, and everything about it is just done so magically. Boseman's portrayal of T'Challa and this king of this third world country who's just trying to protect his own and protect his people is so beautiful and so believable. And what I also love is that the villain is not just like your usual comic book villain who's just like, I'm here because I'm evil, just for the sake of evil, to take over the world because I'm the bad guy. You honestly feel for him and you understand his perspective, and you almost kind of side with him a little bit at times if it weren't for the fact that he was just incredibly aggressive and just not really handling it very well, but his stance, not that crazy. You really sympathize with him, and that makes him such a great villain, and that makes the story so complex, and you really don't know what's gonna happen at the end. It's also a bit of an unpredictable movie in some ways, because we have a lot of characters floating around. We have a lot of people to be introduced to, and we don't really know where they all stand and what's happening. I'm particularly thinking about Andy Serkis's character, who, by the way, seeing him in a movie where he's not playing some like CG creature is very weird. Anytime he talked, I was just like, you're Smeagol? All I see is Gollum? You're just creeping me out a lot right now, dude. But it really worked for him, and seeing him as this like buff kind of badass dude was really out of his element, but it totally worked for him, and I was really into it, and I loved him as a villain. He was hilarious. Everything about him was just so great. But he wasn't the main villain of this movie, which was kind of interesting. He was just sort of like there. I don't really know how necessary his presence was, but I kind of liked it anyways because he was great. Martin Freeman is also back as Everett, the CIA agent. He has a little bit of a bigger role in this movie. He actually has a really incredible badass scene that I loved so much. It was so great. It was a really great way to show who his character really is, and I loved it. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't really expecting him to be that much of a character in this movie, but he plays an amazing role, and I loved every second of him that he was on screen. But while all of those people were great and wonderful, they are not who I want to talk about right now. Even Chadwick Boseman, who is the titular character of this film, was not really my favorite part. Like, he was badass and he had some great moments and his character was beautifully portrayed, and I really have a newfound appreciation for Black Panther. But he did not carry this film as much as the women. There are some badass motherfucking women in this movie. Oh my god. For me, they completely carried this movie. Every scene with them, they are just a force. They are so incredible to watch. They were better than the Amazon warriors of Wonder Woman. Like, they blew them out of the water. They were so cool to watch. I loved them. They were so fierce. They were so strong. They were so independent. They just knew. They were like, you're not gonna fuck with me, I'm going to fucking slice your penis off. Angela Bassett as T'Challa's mother, I mean, she always plays the most badass character, like it's no surprise that she was amazing, but she was amazing. Lupita Nyong'o, wow, she was just beautiful. She plays a spy who is incredibly badass, incredibly aware of how badass she is. Denai Guerrera, who actually plays Michonne on The Walking Dead. It took me till about halfway through the movie to realize that's who she was. She was incredible. Oh my god, I think she was my favorite of all the girls. There's this one scene where she just, so good. She just takes a stand and she's like, don't fucking mess with me. And I'm like, bow down to your awesomeness. Letitia Wright, who plays T'Challa's little sister, is also so cool. I loved her and I loved their interactions with each other and their kind of sibling banter. It really lightened the mood because I was afraid this movie was going to be incredibly serious, but it's actually very playful, very fun. There's a lot of great comedy, and one thing that I really appreciate about this movie is, in the grand scheme of things, compared to all other Marvel films, I think this one has the most believable comedy. There's no like forced jokes or like humor that doesn't really make sense for the characters and the situations that they're in. Like, there's no humor just for the sake of humor. It's all very believable, it's all very conversational, playful, very natural, and I really liked that about this movie, and it was especially through her character and her relationship with her brother and how they talk to each other. It was very much how like a brother and sister would have banter. Like, it was very believable and I liked it a lot. It was really fun to watch. But she is pretty much in charge of the lab and all of the technological advancements that they have in Wakanda. She's responsible for making most of them. She is a child genius and she is incredibly talented and very confident and just really cool. But I loved seeing all of the cool gadgets and gizmos that she had made and the technological advancements that they have and how they work, and it was all very new and very fresh, very unique, and just really cool to see. They just have some really interesting ways of doing things, and to them it's completely normal because it's just what they've had forever, but the rest of the world doesn't know about any of this technology, and it's very cool to see for the first time. I think the CG was great in this movie. It was really cool to see the suit like kind of appear on his skin, and like everything about that was really cool. There were a few moments where the CG was a little heavy. There's a lot of like green screen sunsets. And sometimes it kind of works because they're sort of describing Wakanda as like this fairy tale world that's unlike any other place they've ever seen, and that kind of allows them to have this sort of CG green screen look, but there were times where it was a little bit much. And this movie is also very long. It's like over 2 hours. There are definitely some scenes that drag. There are definitely some parts where I was kind of like getting a little bit out of it, but I feel like it kind of needed to be very long. There was a lot about this world and about Black Panther that we just don't know about, and I like that they explained everything, and I like that I have a much better understanding of this world and all of these characters. I mean, they introduced so many characters, and I feel like I really did get to know every single one of them as much as I needed to, which is more than I can say for another franchise, DC. Overall, this movie was done very well. It was gripping, it was invigorating, the action was so cool. I didn't even talk about the action. Oh my god, the fight scenes. The fight scenes and the choreography and the music and the combination of all of those things. Wow, so cool to watch, so much fun to watch. I could watch these fight scenes for hours. Like, it was so entertaining. Watching these women fight so powerfully, watching everyone fight, everything was so cool. The action in this movie is amazing. Top notch. Yeah, I also did forget to talk about the music, which is great. It's very like tribal, lots of drums, very African inspired, but so cool. Really, really hypes you up for the action and for everything. Oh, it's just so good. So good. I love this movie so much. I really hope everyone goes to see it. please see Black Panther, please. It's a really important movie, and it's really just a great movie, even if you don't care about any of that, but you should. I don't think this is the best Marvel movie, but I do think it's the most important one. So because of that, all things considered, I'm going to give this movie a 4.5 out of 5. So yeah, Black Panther. Let me know when you guys see it. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. I am hyped about this movie. I'm so happy that they made it. It was cool to see a character that I didn't really know a lot about be introduced to me in this amazing way in this beautiful world, and I cannot wait to see more of Black Panther. Yes, so good. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.